Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football's Sooner Magic Podcast. Excuse me on that. Got the little bit of recoil there. Sorry about that. All right, welcome into the show, everybody. Going to talk a little bit about, well, what else will we talk about on here? Sooner slander continues coming in droves, even from places that you wouldn't really expect it, like the alma mater of Coach Brent Venables at K-State. John Kurtz was just the latest to kind of pop in there and have some choice words about the Oklahoma Sooners under Coach Brent Venables. Boy, I got my tongue tied today as well. Latest to pop in on his show last night, though, and have some choice words for BV and what he sees coming in the future. I'll just let you hear what he had to say.
I think I made it pretty clear in a number of the...
Wrong one. That didn't come through correctly. Well, try this one more time. Let me go ahead and just find what he said on Twitter, make it easier, and just share that with you. Let's see what we got here. Man, it's a Monday morning, folks. It's definitely a Monday morning. Let's talk. All right. It is definitely a Monday, folks. Welcome into the show, everybody. Ala Woody, Kimberly K, Brian Sandlin, Sooner Lemon, and Legend Mike. Welcome in, everybody. Glad you guys are all in here. Make sure you wipe your feet when you get in here. Yeah, he didn't come in correctly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he never does. It's funny that's the funny thing about it to me is that it always seems to come across as, the hate's there from all these Big 12s. These Big 12 folks all hate on Texas, but they all hate on Oklahoma too. And they hate Texas because Texas always had so much pull in the conference and never won anything. They hate on Oklahoma because they kick their ass all the time. Now, K-State has definitely had its fair share of wins against OU in the last 20 years or so. But when it comes to the rest of it, everybody else, it's just sour grapes. But seems that it even comes from, those folks there. Even his people there at his alma mater love to talk that smack. So let's see. Here we go. I'll share what we got here. Just 1 second here. Oops. Let me know that you guys can hear this as soon as I get it started, okay?
Yeah, I think OU may be in for a bit of a rude awakening there at first. I certainly believe more in Texas the first couple of years in the SEC than I do Oklahoma. And I know Oklahoma's got better infrastructure, like just better history, but I am not a Brent Venables believer. He's a K-State guy. I am not a Brent Venables believer as being an elite head coach right now. I certainly have not seen that. And I think it will be tough for them. I'm also not going to say that they will turn into Arkansas. I would imagine that they will have more success than that. But it's going to be really interesting because somebody does have to lose games somewhere. Yeah, I think OU may be in for a bit of a rude awakening.
Somebody does have to lose games somewhere. He says, yeah, they do. Nobody has any faith in Oklahoma. Keep doubting. Yeah, no doubt. Doesn't come correctly. Just a bitter X. Yeah, and that was what I was honestly, my feelings on Kurtz is the fact that Oklahoma turned down K-State twice, or Venables turned down K-State twice to become their head coach. Once whenever they gave the job to Prince, and then whenever they gave the job to Kleiman as well. And that's noted. Everybody knows that that's a fact. And so even though he's a K-State alum and did his thing there, they definitely were a little bit upset with the fact that he did not do that. Yeah, and I think it is disrespectful, quite disrespectful. Neilio, your boys are being disrespectful. Welcome into the show, though. Thank you for the super chat. Good Monday morning, Mr. Jason. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Look, I tend to think that Kurtz is he's decent at what he does for the most part. I mean, he keeps his eyes on what's going on within all that stuff with the realignment, all that stuff. He's kind of built a name for himself on YouTube doing that kind of stuff. He does live streams all the time, and he's admittedly slanted from the Big 12 perspective. I don't even blame him for that. What I don't understand is this continuous and constant hatred of BV, and if it's coming from that, and this is coming from throughout the Big 12 conference. Struggle to understand it, particularly coming from a guy like Kurtz, because of the fact that you know very well that the guy is just flat out. It sounds like sour grapes to me. Twice he turned down an opportunity to become head coach there at K-State. I think that and that's not the only place that he's turned down. He turned down the Auburn job, I know, at least once. He's turned down a number of other jobs that he possibly could have had. He wanted the Oklahoma job. He's got the Oklahoma job. And now, even though he flipped it around in 1 year's time, turning it from a flaming wreck that Lincoln Riley left it into a 10-win team in year 2, the slander continues to come. And Duke Silver Sooner, I absolutely agree with you on this. Why anyone has any stock in Texas rolling into the SEC is beyond me. Their defense is garbage. Their entire pass catchers are new and unproven. Brooks is gone. I don't get the hype. And that's what I'm saying about Kurtz is, of all people, and when it starts coming from the Big 12, it's just so weird because you've had an up-close personal view of everything that Texas isn't. They're a paper champion. They've been a paper champion for years. They slide in there and get one freaking conference title in the last 14 years. On their way out, they lose all of their best players to the draft or elsewhere. And all of a sudden, they're just going to roll in there. They don't have much defense to speak of. Great for them that they were able to flip Jermaine Lole at Oklahoma. He was going to be a depth piece at Texas. Admittedly, he is an important piece to their overall success on the defensive line. And this is a guy that hasn't been able to handle playing a ton of snaps as far as being a starter and being the lead dog in the rotation. He's been injured throughout the better part of his college career. But yet, the expectations are just that everything is going to click for Texas and roll. And that even came from Kurtz there. The other thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit was Josh Pate. Josh Pate. Everybody loves them some Josh Pate. I even like Josh Pate. His show's great. But we all know that Josh Pate is a world-class fence sitter. He will never badmouth anybody, at least not out loud, right? He's not going to do it out loud. Now, he can say things that you could construe it as a shot. And when he started talking last week about LSU, and a matter of fact, he was at Texas when he started saying this, and about everything that we heard out of Brian Kelly about the whole deal with Dominic Williams. Let's just go back to that real quick.
I think I made it pretty clear in a number of the press conferences that I had that we were in the market in recruiting in the transfer portal looking for defensive linemen. It hasn't fared very well, quite frankly, because we're selling something a little bit differently, and that is we want to recruit We want to engage, build relationships. We want to develop, retain, and have success. We're not in the market of buying players, and unfortunately, right now, that's what some guys are looking for. They want to be bought. And look, I understand NIL is part of this, and we have an incredible collective. We have very, very generous opportunities around the greater Baton Rouge area for NIL opportunities. So they are here, but we're not going to go out and buy players. That's not what this is about. This was never about that. We will develop you. We will get you ready for the next step, as we did with Jaden Daniels, as we did with Malik Neighbors, as we did with Brian Thomas. We developed 3 defensive linemen that all got drafted this year, and we'll do that again. But if you're just looking to get paid, you're looking in the wrong place. If you like all the things that we do here in developing our players, bringing you into a championship program, playing in front of the best fan base in America, playing for championships, and having an opportunity for NIL, you should be a Tiger. But if you just want to get paid, this is not the place for you.
You should be a Tiger. That fake accent is hilarious to me. You should be a Tiger. All right. So with Josh Pate, he comes in and says, well, he's not wrong. He's not wrong, and I don't think that he was wrong for him to say that, blah, 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 blah. Taken up for, and this is what, listen, and I posted a little comment in the comment section of that video. That's standard Josh Pate. He's a total fence sitter. He's not going to say anything bad directly about Brian Kelly or what he has to say. He didn't exactly say anything about Oklahoma or, for that matter, Dominic Williams either, but he did not either. That's the part that bothers me about it, is that all of this talk that goes on about these players too, that they want to be bought and this and that, and the numbers that are getting thrown out there, what the number was that he wanted and all this and that. First of all, nobody has released that number. You've got people like the idiots at Orange Bloods and, places like that are out there bandying about how much money was going to be spent on Dominic Williams. That's what they use to be able to say, okay, well, this is why we're able to flip. This is exactly why they flipped Lole as well. I'm not even saying that Lole is not a good player. I'm telling you that he was clearly both Texas and LSU and USC. I'm sorry, I don't know for sure about LSU, but Texas and USC, I know, used the fact that they won the services. Oklahoma won the services of Dominic Williams. They tried to throw it out there about how much money was supposedly offered to him. Whether or not they know that or not, who knows? Okay. But they use that to make him feel less needed at Oklahoma in comparison to what Dominic Williams was. Well, the truth be told, he was the secondary piece. He was the guy that they had already picked up, but they wanted Dominic Williams. Just like LSU wanted him, just like Texas wanted him, just like USC wanted him, just like Missouri wanted him. It is what it is. That's a fact. Now, whatever they paid for him, okay, fine. One thing I know is this, is that everything that you've heard out of Dominic Williams, what did he say when he accepted it and he committed? He said that he was glad to be there. And why? He used those same words that we continue to hear. Oklahoma made him a priority, and the relationships that he built over that process with Coach Bates, Coach Venables, that includes his family and everything else. It was about that and him wanting to be a Sooner, right? Does money have something to do with it? Duh. Of course it does. Of course it does. This is the new college football that we live in. But what bothers me is that continued ridiculous attitude about, as long as you're the school that gets this guy, then it's not just about money. Then it's about whatever. You want to build relationships. Brian Kelly says that. We're going to build relationships. We're going to develop you. Blah, 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 blah. But we're not going to buy you. Since when in the hell does LSU not buy football players? Before the NIL was a thing, I seem to remember Odell Beckham Jr. out there freaking forking over cash to players on the field after they won the Natty. You know, it was going on. We watched it in front of us live. And yet now they don't pay for players. Now that it's legal to pay for players through the NIL, come on. Give me a freaking break. Yeah. Look, and all I got to say is that it's hilarious to me that you continually hear this kind of stuff. And then for, when it coming back to John Kurtz, it's funny to me because how does it that these Big 12 folks, any of them, and I don't care if you like Oklahoma, hate on them if you want to. Hate on Brent Venables if you want to. But when you specifically say that you certainly like where Texas is better than you like where OU is, that tells me that you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. Because if you can actually look down there at what they have at Texas heading into this thing, last year, were they in better shape than Oklahoma? Probably. 11 guys got drafted. 11. How many times have you seen that many folks get drafted off of a football team and them turn around and be the exact same team that they were the year before? It's almost impossible. It almost never, ever would happen. Are they loaded still? Do they still have really good talent that they've brought in through recruiting? Of course they are. Of course they did. But this is what Texas always does. They always recruit well. The biggest part of what they did was through the portal, as you saw through Josh Pate's rankings of transfer portal. LSU in the transfer portal ranked 16th in the SEC and who they brought in. Oklahoma was about midway. Texas, number 4. They brought in guys from Alabama, a couple of them on the offensive side, but the guys they brought in on the defensive side didn't end up hanging around. That's their biggest issue, if you ask me, is you lost Sweat. You lost both your big boys on the defensive line, Sweat and Murphy. They both go within the first 3 rounds of the draft. Not only that, you lost Bo Davis. He's at LSU. And clearly he struggles to recruit because they didn't land. Not just did they not land Dominic Williams, but they didn't land the kid that ended up at Miami. Any of the 3 major targets that they had, they've been talking about this for 2 weeks at LSU, is that this is a problem. This is a dire need, and they haven't filled it. So what do you do if you're Brian Kelly? You go on damage control and start putting it off on freaking players. Why is it that it's wrong for the players to get what? I don't care if it was $1.5 million. If Venables decided that it was worth making that move and he could sell it to his football team, that this is our opportunity to win and to win now, then so be it. Whatever the price was. And I don't know that that's what it was. In fact, I doubt that's what it was. I've heard that it was a high number. I have heard that. Fine. I don't care what it was. It doesn't matter what it was. The fact is, don't tell me that you won't buy the players, because what did you're going to tell me they didn't pay big money for Jaden Daniels 2 years ago coming out of Arizona State? He was the number one transfer quarterback out there. They go grab him up. He wins the Heisman. Or I guess he was number 2 because it was the same time as Caleb Williams. But we all knew where Caleb Williams was going. They gave Caleb Williams $10 million freaking dollars. From everything that you hear coming out of SC, $10 million. Supposedly they gave Jordan Addison $2 million, but they only ended up giving him $250,000 if you listen to the folks around Pitt who said that, that was a bunch of crap. Let me see what you guys have to say here. Yes, it does. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. Not good enough to believe he will lead them to an SEC championship. No, he's not. And guys, that's the whole thing, is that Ewers is fragile mentally and physically because he hasn't even made it through a full season. The second he throws an interception in one of the, say he throws one against Michigan early on, they're going to be screaming for Arch Manning. And can he handle that mentally? Probably not. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. The other thing is that, guys, it took him a while to get on the same page with his entire receiving core the first time around. A.D. Mitchell was able to slip in and do his thing, but the bulk of his receiving core was in place. Plus, they had Brooks. None of those guys, all top 5 of his pass catchers from a year ago are gone. Yes, I like Isaiah Poe as well. He's good. I like Nyblack. I don't like either one of them as much as I would have liked either Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, or Jatavion Sanders. I don't like them more than that. Do I like Jaden Blue? Yes. Do I like C.J. Baxter? Yep. Do I like him as much as Brooks? Nope. I don't. Bottom line is they have to, and all of that has to come together perfectly for them to look. I mean, they couldn't beat Oklahoma last year with all those guys. But now all of a sudden they're better than OU coming in. What is that? Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Because it doesn't. It just doesn't. Oh, that was a picture of Brian Kelly. Yes. Yeah. And listen, Coach will tell you all about when he was at Notre Dame. It was the same song and dance. But then it was, we recruit from a different aisle than the rest of the country. Talking about how hard it is to get into Notre Dame. He had everybody believing that you can't recruit the same level of talent at Notre Dame that you can throughout the rest of the country. Marcus Freeman's on the line and begs to differ. They've had their 4 best recruiting cycles since Brian Kelly left. The good news for Kelly up until this point is that LSU kind of recruits itself. Particularly, but I've even heard them talking about, actually, I was watching this on Crane and Company the other day, and you had one of the, I think it was the ESPN Baton Rouge affiliate guy, talking about that they didn't even get it there. Brian Kelly doesn't even get it, that why are you out there recruiting 3-star secondary guys or whatever out of Nevada and places like that when you can throw a rock from Baton Rouge and hit a 3-star corner easily, and every other position for that matter as well. Louisiana is a talent-rich state, whether or not, and I've told you guys many times what I think about stars. They don't matter as much as people make them out to. Same approach going about recruiting players and they run their programs. The difference is Venables is genuine. Yeah. Kelly's a blowhard is what he is. Definitely too much stock in yours. Yeah, the whole Broklahoma thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen. No, they haven't. If they had, they wouldn't have went so heavy. I mean, look, Jay showed you on K Chris's show whenever I was on this past week on Thursday, and Jay put up those numbers of the returning production to Oklahoma that was at Oklahoma versus what was at Texas last year. They had a total of 8 receptions from Jonte Cook. That's all they've got coming back. The rest of them are all brand new. Oklahoma has over 2,500 yards in production coming back, and that's not including having, Deion Burks as well, who would have added it's another 700 plus yards or somewhere around there, and 7 or 8 touchdowns. You're getting most of it back. You're replacing Stoops with Burks, and then the hope is that Andrew Anthony comes back and is anywhere close to what he was a year ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who recognized recently as the number 1 program in the history of college football? I don't know who said that. That's cool, but I don't know who said that. I would say that you're probably your top 2 or 3 at least. I mean, you've had more conference championships than anybody else. The Heismans are up there. Wins are up there, especially wins post World War II, which a lot of people, you start looking back on what the only thing that Oklahoma or that Texas has over Oklahoma in the series is the overall records, back when they were wearing leather, no helmets, and, the football was the size of a freaking medicine ball. Mm-hmm. Tebow's a liar. Yeah, we know that. We all know that. Yeah, I think so too. And look, they ended up with Dominic McKinley, but only because of what happened at A&M. If it hadn't been for what's his name, Robinson, their coach over there, that he went to Syracuse. That's the only reason that Dominic McKinley ended up back at LSU. Plus the fact that he fired his entire defense from a year, or his defensive staff from a year ago. And from what I understood, somebody had really pissed off his mother by, it was just a lot of crap that everybody could see through. She caught them lying. And therefore, that's why there was ever an opportunity for him to even be an Oklahoma guy, because flat out, they were not going to send him to LSU with that guy. If it hadn't been for them firing that entire staff, McKinley wouldn't be there. But they're going to have to depend on Dominic McKinley being that guy as a freshman in order for them to live up to these lofty ranks. Texas isn't the only school that's going to be living up to this ridiculous belief that, I mean, everybody's talking about LSU. I like their offense. I like their quarterback. I know that they're going to have to show that they can run the ball better, because they don't have a quarterback that can run it like Jaden Daniels could. They also are going to have to show that they can play a little bit of defense. Their secondary was awful, and they weren't getting it done. But I think they're going to struggle, and they think they're going to struggle on the defensive line. I think it's going to be hard. 7 wins in 25. Yeah, they're like 18-7 in the last 25 years. Oklahoma's 18-7 against Texas. Again, this is why I don't understand why anybody in the Big 12 of all people would believe in Texas over Oklahoma when it comes to who's going to do better in the SEC. This Arkansas / Nebraska, the new Nebraska or new Arkansas of the SEC, whatever, is ridiculous talk. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. We could talk about why Nebraska is what they are. And I think that it's asinine that they've turned into what they turned into, but it was a simple reason of why they did. They lost their pipeline into Texas. Oklahoma didn't. When they went to the Big Ten and they were not going to be playing 2 to 3 to 4 games a year in the state of Texas, they lost their recruiting pipeline into Texas. Oklahoma is going to continue to play, and they border with the state. They're a blue blood. They play Texas every year. They're going to play A&M at least every other year moving forward after this first 2 years are done. That's not going away. It's not going away. And anybody from the state of Texas that, it's not that tough to get up to Norman to go watch them play there too, particularly in the Metroplex, which is where they recruit the best. Dallas basically belongs to OU when it comes to recruiting. They get the best of the Metroplex, always, and will continue to do so. That's the difference. Yeah. That's exactly it. And Neilio, that's the whole point is I'm not saying that Texas isn't recruiting well and that Sark doesn't know what he's doing. He was able to coach with Nick Saban long enough to know what it takes to build an SEC winner. What I will say again is that it's rare. In fact, it's almost never that you see these offensive-minded coaches that do not take a defensive approach win a national championship. In fact, we haven't seen it yet. These all gas, no brakes, which is their calling card there at Texas with Sark, those guys haven't gotten it done. And not just at Texas either. The last time you saw something like that, I guess if you wanted to put it would have been OU in 2000. Because that was coming off of, that was with Leach's offense, which wasn't being run by Leach anymore. I understand that. But it was with a Mike Leach offense. But of course, that was a team that was led by defense in year 2. Started off the year, the Oklahoma offense definitely carried them early on, but by the end of the year, it was the defense that got it done. I just feel like that's where you're headed. Absolutely. Yeah, if Texas was going to win one, they were going to do it last year. I agree. And really, man, Washington gave them every opportunity in the world to go to win that game. And Quinn Ewers gagged away. He didn't even want to throw it at the end zone from the 12. He didn't even want to throw it at the end zone. What in the hell was that about? It was unbelievable to me. They ran that one play, threw it towards the sideline. And if that kid hadn't gotten out of bounds and they had no timeouts left, they were screwed. He would have been over with. Done. I don't remember if it was Blue or Baxter, but one of them got out of bounds on that little stupid out route that he threw to the running back, and he got out of bounds. But if he hadn't, that's game over right there. 4 shots from the 12, and they only take the last one at the end zone. Unbelievable to me. Unbelievable to me. And then, yeah. Well, and that's the thing, the injury, it would have never got to that point had it not been for the fact that the kid runs. They were doing what they were supposed to do at Washington, run the ball, get it down, and let the clock run out. And had it not been for that, they got an extra timeout basically because of the injury timeout. If had it not been for that, Texas wouldn't have gotten another shot there. But the truth is, what was it? I mean, they didn't have a secondary to speak of either. What are we talking about? Why in the world, if you're Texas, can you not find a way to win that game? Unbelievable to me. And then, you know, maybe they do, maybe they don't beat Michigan, but they could have. They could have. It's just the kind of game that Sark would have lost. But again, if you're going to win one, that should have been the one to do it. Should have been the one to do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I think so, man. I think so. They're going to be somewhere in the middle, grasping for D linemen who can get it done. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about this one. Scott, Christopher, thanks for this one. Yeah, hey, look, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to have to win at least 3 or 4 to win it all. 3 or 4 to win it all. And look, I'm not even saying that Oklahoma's the favorite to win anything. I think this is Georgia, and really Ohio State doesn't have any excuses to not win a national championship this year. They don't. But I definitely believe that when you look at it, Oklahoma has as good a shot as anybody coming into this thing. They keep, and even like Josh Pate, who tried to back it up, yesterday I think it was last night, where he was trying to back up what he was saying and giving love to Oklahoma, because again, he's the all-time fence sitter of college football talk on YouTube. But he was saying that, you know, the question is on that offensive line, if they're going to be good or not. Again, I'm going to say this one more time, is you have Bill Bedenbaugh and you have a lot of depth. You even listen to the guys that are talking about it on a lot of these Oklahoma podcasts. The linemen themselves, Ozeda and who was the other kid that was on the red dirt one? But they were talking about, we're deep. We're deep. We've got all kinds of depth. Yes, they brought in some guys in the portal that might be plug and play type of guys, right? Okay, great. But in the end, it's just a new line. It's not a bad line. It's a new line. And that's where, if they can be even average for an OU line, just be average. If you do that, who in the hell is going to stop them? If they're average, and average for an Oklahoma line is pretty damn good for the rest of the country. But if they're that, how are you going to stop them? They've got a stable of running backs that should be able to get the job done, bar none. They've got a quarterback that there's a reason why he was the Elite 11 winner, you know, Gatorade National Player of the Year coming out of high school. Number 1 ranked guy coming out of the state of Texas. There's a reason. Because he's that guy. And yes, I understand that, you know, if you're a fan and you're looking at it, you know, maybe you wanted, you know, you could be on the side of the fence where, hey, we would have been better if we got Dylan Gabriel to come back. I think there's a reason that Dylan left. I think that Dylan knew that he may or may not be able to hold on to that job. And it's better for him to go somewhere that he knows he's going to start and put some more film up there that maybe he gets drafted, because he wasn't going to get drafted. His NFL grade wasn't what if he got drafted, it would have been very late rounds, and that it wouldn't have put him in a position where there's any guarantees for him. If you're not a first 3 or 4 round guy, there's no guarantees. So Dylan did the right thing. And look, maybe you would have preferred to have the, you know, his experience. And look, I don't know that I wouldn't have, but I know this. There's things that Jackson Arnold can do that you would have never seen from Dylan. Right? The deep ball, it's not even close. It's not even close when it comes to arm talent. Yes. Mm-hmm. If we make the playoffs, it would be a monumental success for 2024. Absolutely. They definitely have the tougher road. They definitely have the tougher road to get there. There's no two ways around that, right? Lamont Rogers from Mesquite visiting in June. Yeah, legend. I do too. I like him as well. Yes, I think we beat Texas for sure. I think Oklahoma beats Texas. I don't see how this Texas team beats Oklahoma. I don't. Because they couldn't do it with that team that I think was way better last year than what this team's going to be. And this Oklahoma team is largely intact from the team that beat that Texas team last year and knows they can beat them and expects to go out there and they're going to enforce their will on that game. I just see it happening, man. I do. The more I watch this thing, look, there's some things that are going to have to happen for OU to get there. But again, we know what I think about Mizzou. I don't think about Mizzou. I think they're going to beat the shit out of them. We know what I think about Ole Miss. I do like Ole Miss, and I think that that's a tough win at the Grove, in a season that there's high expectations there. But I do think that that's not as easy of a game, and I don't think that it's guaranteed that they do anything. I'm not huge on Jackson Dart. I like their receiver core. I like what they have on the defensive line. But I think that there's going to be every team that Oklahoma plays is going to have to find a way to score on this defense, which is the main reason I'm not very concerned at all about Jackson Arnold or this offensive line. I'm not concerned because I don't think you're going to end up having to play a team that is going to go out there and put up 50. Had that guy from Tennessee in the comments last week that was telling me that they were going to hang 50 on the Oklahoma defense. I don't think there's a way in hell that a freshman quarterback, redshirt freshman, sophomore, whatever you want to call him, I don't think there's a way in hell that they put up 50 on this guy. No way. No way. I just don't see it, man. I just do not see it. 9-3 floor, 10-2 ceiling. I don't even know that the ceiling is 10-2. I think that 9-3 is starting to look more and more like my floor. I mean, I guess you could see them getting eight wins being like the low, and that would be something really bad has happened. Multiple things have gone bad for OU, injury wise, something like that, right? I think that would be the main thing. I just don't see anybody going out there and being able to put up 35, 42 points on this defense. And if you don't do that, what are your chances of beating them? Year 3, Brent Venables' defenses are juggernauts. We've seen it twice. The last 2 times that he went somewhere, when he left K-State, went to Oklahoma, year 2 and 3, but certainly year 3, they were unbelievably good. You can hear that from the guys that were there. Damian Mackey talked about it himself on the Barry and Mack show that, look, second half of year 2 and year 3, this was a defensive football club. They could not. Nobody could score on us. Nobody was going to score on us. You know, same thing that happened. Look, year 3, they won the national championship at Clemson. And they were the number 2 scoring defense and the number 2 total defense in the country. One of the best overall defenses there was, period. A dominant force. They beat the crap out of Alabama that year. Beat the hell out of them. So, yeah. I think you're going to have to show me the school that's going to go out there and put up a bunch of points. I don't know that it's. I mean, I guess you could say, yeah, Ole Miss would be the school that might, particularly being at home. LSU, another one, because they have a great offensive line. They also have a quarterback that I think can get it done. You know, he should be able to anyway. I don't know who their big time receiver is going to be because they did lose Neighbors and the other kid, but I mean, it's LSU. They have a factory for receivers down there. Not that worried about those two guys, about the receiving core. Now, what they're going to do on defense, who's to say? You got to go play them at LSU. That's the hard part. The other one, I guess, would be Alabama. They're going to have, their offense is going to be a little bit different than what you've seen from Bama. The question there is, do they have a quarterback that can throw the ball the way that we've seen Kalen DeBoer offenses get it done throwing the ball? Pretty sure he's not Michael Penix, guys. I don't know that you have to be, because I think that Kalen DeBoer is smart enough to know you can do what you can with what you have. And I do believe, look, I'm not saying anything bad about the quarterback or the offensive situation there at Alabama. I think they're good. I think that this is your best opportunity to get after them. And defensively is the question there now. It kind of switches around. Last year, it was an offensive question. I think it's still kind of an offensive question at Bama, but you more or less give Kalen DeBoer the benefit of the doubt because of what he's been able to do everywhere he's been, particularly on offense. Defensively, they weren't even that good last year at Washington. Now, they have a lot of talent on defense at Alabama. You get them at home, you have an opportunity there, right? Now, I think that Tennessee is good. They've got a good defense. They've got a good defensive front. I like Nico Iamaleava. I like him. I'm not positive that they have a receiving core that's going to stack up and give him what you need. I'm not. But, and again, I think that Coach Venables, having coached with Josh as long as he did, knows what he's going to do. They know what they're getting there. I think, and it's the first game in the SEC. It's in the Palace. I like OU's chances in that game. Could they lose 2 to 3 games? Yeah, they could. Could they go 11-1 maybe? Yes, they could. I think they really could. We're going to find out. I think for them to lose 4 games, a lot of bad stuff has had to happen. Yeah, Keaton, I agree. There's not a single game that screams L. Hey, yeah, love that too. All that smack about Texas baseball or Okie Light baseball and Texas softball and Okie Light softball for that matter. And guess what? Still didn't do it. Yeah, they got to get the running game going. There's no reason why you shouldn't. Yeah, that was kind of funny to me too. I don't know about that. I think it'd be. I think you have to have an effective running game, but 6 or 7 wins with that defense, I have a hard time believing that, because we know what you can put up point wise with this offense. When's the last time that they haven't had an offense that could get out there? I mean, really, the worst one that we've seen was probably the worst offense that we've seen was probably that year with Trevor. The year with Knight. And they changed the offense up a little bit, and it just, I don't necessarily even think that it was his fault. Oh, you USC playoff game? I don't see USC getting there, Weston. I don't see them getting there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They were better. They were better, Neil. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. They were better. They definitely had a couple of guys in the secondary that were better. But again, yeah, so we're talking about offensive wise. Look, if they're a top 10 defense, which I think most people believe that they can be, if they're a top 10 defense, I have struggled to believe that they won't. If they're a top 10 defense, they're in the playoff. They're in the playoff because I think at worst, this offense is probably top 30. I think that's at worst. If they're a top 10 defense, they're in the playoff. That's all there is to it. So to me, that's what it hinges on the most, is that defense. Is that front everything that we believe that it is? Is that secondary, or the back half of this defense, the linebackers and the secondary, which we believe a lot in, are they going to find a way to put it all together and be that top 10 defense that we know that they can be? I believe that they will. I mean, we've got a really good, track record for Brent Venables saying that that's what's going to happen. And there's some guys back there. Particularly with, Stutzman, Bowman, Peyton Bowen. The secondary is really good. Woody's still on there. I think that Woody's probably going to move in, but why do you think that he's moving into that nickel role? Because of guys like Makari Vickers, and then of course you got Gentry Williams on the other side, but Makari, and then you've got Jacoby Johnson, who have both shown out this year. And I also think that when it comes to those speedy, I wouldn't be that surprised to see Eli Bowen step in there and make some plays. You still got Newcomb coming in for the summer. There's some guys that are going to come in and be big. Yeah. Yeah, Brian. Yeah, they're not buying players though. Yeah, so there's the O-line is a lot of homegrown. They've got some guys in the portal. They got the one kid, the Brown from Michigan State. They got the other kid that came from SC, who had previously been at Florida before that. I think that he's looking like he's better, just because he's working with Schmitty. That's the guy that I expect to be probably playing left tackle. Jacob Sexton, though, is definitely the guy. And you can probably play him anywhere, but I suspect that he's probably going to play right tackle. And then you were able to go and get the kid from SMU, the center. But I think that Joshua Bates was starting to prove himself as ready to rock and roll. He's another homegrown kid. Hito Zeta. Then you've got what's his name from Wewu, out of Fabechi Wewu from North Texas. There was another freshman All-American guard. I think they're in good shape. They're not in a situation that it's dire straits here. It's freaking Bill Bedenbaugh, for God's sakes, folks. It's Bill Bedenbaugh. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, good question. I just think that when you start looking at who you've got there, I like where Oklahoma's at. I do. I think that it's an easy narrative for people to have because of the fact that you are replacing them all. And look, would they have been better if they had Caden Green? Yeah, they would have been. Yeah, they would have been. Because Caden Green was that guy. He started 7 games as a true freshman. Would they have been better? Yes. They've got some freshman guys right now that, EPL's got a brother in the NFL, Eddie Pierre-Louis. He wasn't here for spring. He's a Tampa Catholic kid. He doesn't graduate until I guess this month or whatever. But that kid looks like, he was the number 1 interior offensive lineman by some, according to some of the recruiting services. Then you had the other kid from California. Help me with his name, folks. He's been looking really good from what we've seen as well. I think that, again, and then I like the younger kids, the guys that are sophomores or redshirt freshman guys. A lot of these guys that they brought in. Again, Beatonbow seems to find those guys, and look, he's identifying them. From what we saw on the PG show the other day, look, it seems to me like the number 1 offensive tackle or number 1 or 2 offensive tackle 5-star kid that he had on his show is still very pro Oklahoma. So again, I see moving forward, I don't see this getting worse. I see it getting better. I just do. They are going to be good. They're going to be stout. Are they going to be perfect on the O-line? No, probably not. But again, I don't think you have to do much other than be average for an Oklahoma line. I think if you're average and you can go out there and be good enough. Somebody said something about Gavin Sawchuk, having a really good second half of the year, which he did. What 5 straight 100-yard games last year. Major and Barnes averaged under 4 yards a carry. Yeah, and I think that Javonte wasn't healthy all of last year. I continue to be fairly surprised that Javonte is coming back. That tells you how much they trust and love, DeMarco. But I think that, with Hicks, he looks like he's just ready, man. Huge. He's got burst. I think he can be that short yardage guy. Xavier Robinson, he's already the size and he's got speed, but he's just he plays the way that you want a running back to play, is particularly in the SEC, that, run through the middle, loves contact kind of guy. Love him. We haven't seen Taylor Tatum yet. And I'm telling you, if you think that guy isn't going to make an impact in year 1, you might want to go and look at some of his film. He's a different cat. He destroys angles, destroys them. And he's big, strong, type of guy that can do things that he's on another level of most running backs. There's a reason why he was the top rated back coming out in the 24 class. There's a reason why everybody wanted him, including Lincoln at SC. Different kind of dude. I don't see him being a redshirt type. They're going to find reasons for ways to get him involved. And he talked a lot about getting involved in the passing game as well. He enjoys working out of the slot and doing some of that other stuff. He's that kind of dude that he can make an impact in a lot of ways. A lot of ways. If you looked at it coming in, and Gavin Sawchuk, I believe that Gavin's going to be a hell of a player still. I think that he has been. The main thing with Gavin and Javonte is simple. Stay healthy. Stay healthy. Don't get banged up and lose half of the year or more. Don't do it. Because where that competition, it's just kind of like what we were talking about. We've talked about it in the linebacker room. We've talked about it in the secondary room. We've talked about it everywhere. And that includes at the receiver spot. Look at this. There's guys that this receiver room is super deep. We haven't even talked about guys like either of the Zions that are coming in as freshmen, Zion Reagans or Zion. Oh man, what's that other kid's last name? They're studs, both of them. Reagan's the little guy that's got all kinds of speed. He's a Deion Burks type of guy, but smaller. And then you've got Jacquez Petaway hasn't really gotten an opportunity to show his thing yet. This guy's studly fast and huge too. I don't know where he fits in this year, right? I don't know where he fits in this year. There's a lot of guys. When you start looking at Deion Burks, Andrell Anthony, Nick Six, Jaden Gibson was probably the alpha dog the entire second half of the season at receiver. You've got tight end help. I still believe that, I like that they brought in a guy from the portal, a guy that you think that you're going to get something out of there. But I still believe that the freshman that you got, guys, there's a reason he was a top 5 overall recruit for the 25 class. They're really good. Yeah, Kearney. That's who I was talking about. Zion Kearney. Studs, right? You don't even, the thing is like whether or not you could see that Zion Kearney, I think Zion Reagan is probably going to, one of those guys that you probably want to have him on return teams, because of that speed and his ability. If you've watched anything from that guy, wow. Amazing athlete. When you see those little dudes like that are just that guy. Ivan Carrion. Yes, Jordan. Love him too. I'm a fan of Ivan Carrion. There's a 6'6.5" dude with unbelievable ball skills and some speed too. Good grief, man. Yeah, I think he's very similar to Hollywood. I was fixed to say very, very similar speed-wise and all that stuff. Same kind of thing. And I think that if you're looking at it, as much as we love right now Deion Burks, that's what you're probably going to see in a year or two from Zion Reagans. Right? Whew. Stud. Love it. But these are weapons that nobody, you had, of course it was on 3. They had Oklahoma's receiving core ranked, 9 out of 10 in the top 10? It's blasphemous. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, yeah. Bauer Sharp, Carrion, Gibson, Nick Six. Yeah, who's going to go up and get the ball against these guys? Who's going to go up and get it? All right. Guys, we've been going for just about an hour. I wanted to just hop in and talk a little bit about some of that stuff. Mostly, I don't know why I feel like this is something I got to do a lot, but I do want, guys, keep receipts on all this shit. Keep receipts. When you see something, bookmark it on Twitter or do whatever you got to do. Bookmark these certain videos where you're seeing a lot of this stuff. Go and find that one from last night from John Kurtz where he's talking about that. And it's not the first time in the last couple of weeks that he's done that. He loved it whenever old Barry came on and was saying kind of the same thing from the Oklahoman. They're loving that. For whatever reason, they're loving that. It amazes me that Big 12 talking heads who have seen this up close for years and years and years, the paper champion that is Texas, would, with a straight face, tell you that they believe in Texas more than they do OU. It's crazy talk. Silly talk, man. Yeah. Yeah, he got a little loose last night. Curtsy. And like I said, Neil, I actually like the guy most of the time. You know what I mean? Because generally speaking, up until the last few weeks, he's been more, well, as you should be as a Big 12 fan, and telling it like it is when it comes to Texas. They're a paper champion. They've always been a paper champion. They always win the offseason and never win what's going on, Yeah, and I don't even mind him. You know what I mean? But lately, he's got a thing, and he just flat out said that he does not believe in Coach Venables. A K-State alum doesn't believe in it. Okay. You get to be on the list there, John. You get to be on the list. We're going to have to dog you out whenever he does better. It's just going to be how it is. Well, it is what it is. It is what it is. But guys, thanks so much for coming in here. And he did say it with his chest. He did. Let's do this. Let's just remind everybody one more time. Oof. Old Brian Sooner Soldier wasn't too happy about him. Oops. Let me we'll go one more time with it, and then we'll go good from there. All right.
Yeah, I think OU may be in for a bit of a rude awakening there at first. I certainly believe more in Texas the first couple of years in the SEC than I do Oklahoma. And I know Oklahoma's got better infrastructure, like just better history, but I am not a Brent Venables believer. He's a K-State guy. I am not a Brent Venables believer as being an elite head coach right now. I certainly have not seen that. And I think it will be tough for them. I'm also not going to say that they will turn into Arkansas. I would imagine that they will have more success than that. But it's going to be really interesting because somebody does have to lose games somewhere.
Somebody has to lose games. Certainly going to be Texas and not Oklahoma, if you ask me, boys and girls. Welcome in, PG. You just caught us on the way out. But, yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. I know you guys have been doing it plenty here. If you are watching the replay of this, let me know what you think about what is being said out there, not just by guys like John Kurtz, but the Brian Kellys of the world and all the Texas fans out there that believe that Texas is somehow going to be that team going into the SEC. I find it laughable, but, always interested in knowing what you guys believe there. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate you. You will see us soon. We'll see you for sure tomorrow night. Yeah, make sure to tune in tomorrow night. Hall of Fame college football with Jason and the coach live Tuesday nights. We always go at 8:30 Eastern time right here on Hall of Fame college football and the Sooner Magic podcast channel as well. That's HOF Sooners right here on YouTube. Let me know what you think in the comments if you come in late. And guys, make sure you check out our sponsors that are taking care of us. Take care of them. Check out Mint Mobile. 3 months unlimited talk, text, and data for just $45 at trymintmobile.com/HOF. As you can see, I'm wearing my Melreg t-shirt golf shirt here right now today. Jump on to melreg.com/JW_HOF to get your amazing golf gear. Good summer wear if you're not a big golfer. Stretch, fit, great performance. Obviously, it's got so you can also get protection, SPF 30 protection from the sun, and for a great price. Again, melreg.com/JW_HOF. Guys, thanks a lot again for coming in and checking out the show this morning. Hit that like button on the way out. If you're not already a subscriber, become a subscriber. But hey, thanks a lot again, and we will see you on the next one.